Chronic supply shortage causes reacceleration of the Australian rental market. We predicted that this would happen, and it is happening in full force. Demand pressures have compounded the pace of rental growth in Australia as rents have reaccelerated vacancy rates, tightening to a record low of 1.1% for the first 3 months of 2023. 1.1%, for some perspective, 2% vacancy rate over a 52-week period, a year, is 1 week's vacancy. So there is currently less than 1 week's vacancy, less than 1 week's vacancy for people that are renting out their properties. Now, this is really, really tight. As you can see here from CoreLogic's economist, Caitlin, annual growth trend is holding steady. It remains stubbornly high at 10%. So the growth rate of rent is at 10%. And to be honest with you, I really do anticipate that rents will continue to increase. Let's have a look at some of the data here. So you can see in Sydney, median rent $6.99, 12% growth rate over the last 12 months. Melbourne 10%, Brisbane 12%, Adelaide 11%, Perth 12%, and then you have the other states. The combined capital cities is 11%. So yields are steadily increasing. If you have a look at 12 months ago versus now, in almost every single state, the yields are starting to increase quite significantly. And then again, the vacancy rates are just minuscule. Adelaide 0.4%, Canberra 0.7%. So it is a very, very tight rental market. Now, the interesting thing here, unit rental growth outpaces house rents. This makes perfect sense to me because units have always been a place for affordability. Houses cost much, much more. So the rental growth for units has been expected to grow the fastest, and especially in the largest capital cities where you're next to major metropolitan areas. What we're seeing, which isn't being spoken about here, which is interesting, we've heard Tim talk about it quite a few times, is that during COVID, households shrunk in size. So people that were rooming together left, and it was one person kept the house, the other person went somewhere else. But now that COVID has more or less gone, we're seeing that the household size is starting to increase, and this is to battle the increasing costs of rent. So people are coming back together, sharing apartments and sharing houses to put their cash flow together. So let's have a look here. Migrant push rental rents higher. So Melbourne remained the country's most affordable capital city. Weaker rental demand happened because of the extended lockdowns, and heaps of people left Melbourne and basically went to Brisbane. But it is expected that the Melbourne rents are going to start to increase. This is because of the overseas migrants and international students, which we've been talking about for a while, all coming back into Melbourne and also into Sydney. Now, I won't go through every single state, but basically this is a great report talking about the rental pressures. Further rental pressure is expected, and this is largely because of the amount of people coming into the country. So you have a look here. Net migration is forecast to remain strong for some time. Now, I want to show you another report which talks about exactly this. British doctors and nurses, let me move my face, make it a bit smaller, help to drive record migration into Australia. This report talks about basically people in the UK are looking to come into Australia because they can have a better quality of life, they can receive really good incomes, and it talks about this time in Australia being one of the largest migration booms that we have ever seen. Now, here specifically in Western Australia, they've struggled with their labour market. Western Australia's government said last month that it wants British and Irish workers to fill more than 30,000 jobs, including teachers, police workers, nurses, plumbers, doctors. But it's not just Western Australia, it's all of Australia. And when you have a look at the two big winners when it comes to migration, it is Sydney first and Melbourne a very, very close second. So let's have a look here. This is a number that was staggering to me, absolutely staggering. The Australia will experience the biggest two-year population rise in history, with an extra 650,000 migrants expected over this financial year and next. The total population increase estimate is to be increased by 900,000 people. The government has said that net overseas migration this financial year is likely to be 350,000. This is a 50% increase in what was expected in October budget and January's annual population statement. I've said a lot, and the big thing that I want you to take out of this is interest rates have now officially been paused. It looks like they're going to stay tight for a while. They're not going to move. And they are pricing in, the banks are pricing in interest rate cuts near the end of this year and that sort of medium term. Now, what you'll see with that is an increase in consumer confidence and people's ability to buy property. So that's going to be an uptick in demand. And the other thing is there's a lot of people coming into our country. This is going to put a huge amount of pressure on our rental system, especially in a time when we've got record low levels of supply. Approval ratings are low, and the amount of new property being developed has fallen off a cliff. I'm talking to a lot of developers out there. They're all sitting on stock and they're just waiting. They're not releasing it to the market, and they know that there's going to be a price increase in the system. Building prices have gone quite high. They need to increase their prices. So I really do believe that now is a good time for you to be investing. Have a look for affordability, because that's where you're going to see some really good price movement. But also look for stuff that's close to train station, close to universities, close to major metropolitan areas. You really want to lock in that stuff that is attractive to migrants, that is attractive to students, because that's where we're going to see a huge amount of pressure on that rental system, and you'll be in a great position to increase your rents, increase your income, and over time just keep on building that portfolio. Anyways, said a lot. Happy investing. If you've got any questions about any of this, let me know, and I'll see you all later.